This is screen tour 2 video. I want to talk about these three groups of buttons here. First group of buttons lets you pick different types of top flaps. Most of the time for an RSC box you're going to see flaps that meet on the top, and that's fine. However, let's say you really like closing boxes with a staple gun. Choose the short overlap flap, and you'll have 1.5 inches space there at the edge of the flaps to staple them shut or glue them shut. Let's say you're going to put a bunch of boxes in a big stack, or you have boxes with heavy material in them. A full overlap flap ends up making a much stronger box, so you can choose that. If you choose 1.5 inch flap, this gives you a very short overlap. If you glued or stapled down a pad on top of this, there'd be very little overlapping cardboard. A 3-inch flap, kind of like the 1.5-inch flap, but it's more used for strapping two boxes together to make a more complex box. Or you can use this as a partial flap. There are a lot of times the box doesn't need to be completely closed off. You can also choose no flaps at all. You may just want it this way for internal use. You may want to make a tray and put it upside down on here to make a nice lid. Several reasons for having no flaps on a box. The number of panels on a box, 4 is typically what you're going to see for the RSC box, but this machine does not limit you to that. You could have a 6-sided RSC type box, or even an 8-sided. You can also have a 1, a 2, or a 3-sided box. These are for making combination boxes, and we'll talk about these later. Flaps on the bottom are very much like the flaps on the top, except that flaps on the bottom might see different conditions than the ones on the top. Meat, again, is most common. If you have to staple everything shut, choose the short overlap. Full overlap is great for putting heavy stuff in boxes and making sure that the bottom of the box will stand up if you're scooting across a cement floor or whatever. The 1.5 inch flaps, you could bend them out sideways and then staple this box down to a pallet and start loading from there. 3-inch flap, again, sometimes you don't have to enclose the box totally. And having no flaps, well, you could take this box, make it just a little bit bigger than another one that's like it, and slide those two boxes together to make a nice variable height telescoping box.